from New York. Breaking news tonight, our fifth story on the countdown, that CIA Director Leon Panetta has told lawmakers that agency officials did indeed mislead Congress and did so since 2001, what would be the start, roughly, of the Bush administration. The CIA confirming to MSNBC and NBC News that Director Panetta told lawmakers that Congress was not adequately informed about unspecified post-9/11 activity, classified activity. The CIA will not say what the briefing was about. Other officials say it was not about waterboarding nor about interrogation practices. 2 days after Panetta's testimony, several Democratic members of the House Intelligence Committee, having then sent the director a letter in the wake of his own testimony, reading in part, quote, "You recall no doubt that on May 15th, 2009, you stated the following in a letter to CIA employees. Let me be clear, it is not our policy or practice to mislead Congress. That is against our laws and values. In light of your testimony," the letter continues, "we ask that you publicly correct your statement of May 15, 2009. In another statement tonight, Director Panetta is refusing to amend what he said in May, nor even confirm what the congressmen and women said he said in June." Again, reading in part, Director Panetta stands by his May 15 statement. "It is not the policy or practice of the CIA to mislead Congress. This agency and this director believe it is vital to keep the Congress fully and currently informed." Director Panetta's actions back that up. Earlier this year, House Speaker Pelosi, of course, having accused the CIA of misleading her in briefings about the agency's use of waterboarding, something she said she never heard about in any kind of briefing, secret or otherwise, an allegation for which she has been roundly attacked by Republicans. Time now to turn to our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, who has been working this story for MSNBC and NBC News. Thanks for your time tonight, Andrea.
You bet.
Do we know?
There's a lot, you know, Keith, there's a lot of disagreement over what happened and who said what to whom. What we do know is that the CIA and Leon Panetta are not acknowledging in any fashion that he testified that there was any misleading of Congress. They say that is not true. U.S. officials say that Panetta believes strongly that Congress should be informed, that there were some matters that were not adequately briefed, that were inappropriately not briefed to Congress, and that he changed that when he took over. But he is not attributing any motivation to what was done in the past. He's not saying that it was an attempt to mislead or conceal, simply that they were not informed, and that he has made sure that in the future they will be informed. So is there if you can see the distinction.
Yeah, is there a disconnect here between, we've got Representatives Eshoo and Schakowsky and Holt and Hastings and Tierney and Thompson. Is it a disconnect, or did they hear something that they wanted to put on the record? Why would there be such divergence of what exactly he said to them?
You get to the bottom of it. The fact is that these 6 members are very close allies of Speaker Pelosi, and you know the background, that there has been this running feud between the Speaker and the head of the CIA. Not a terribly healthy situation, we might add. The House is about to debate and vote tomorrow, barring any unforeseen circumstances, on an intelligence bill. That intelligence bill has a Democratic version of that intelligence bill has amendments which would require better briefings, more extensive briefings, and would give the members of Congress, the Speaker and the other leaders, the ability to say who should be briefed on these secrets, not just the top 4 or the top 8 members of the committees. It would take away from the administration and the president the power to determine who gets briefed. Today, the White House issued a veto threat, saying if they vote on that version of the House intelligence bill, the president will not sign it. So you can see a growing feud between House Democrats loyal to Pelosi, and this is not a document of the Intelligence Committee, of its leadership, or of all of its members. It is simply 6 Democrats very closely aligned with the Speaker against Leon Panetta. Panetta is not acknowledging that there was any lying that went on in the past. He's just saying that nothing like that will happen in the future.
Andres, the Speaker stated she had been misled by the CIA, and Republicans said that that was disparaging our country's agents, and this just was never done. Panetta's comments seem to back up that end of the political maelstrom here. What we're dealing with in between the characterizations by these 6 representatives in that letter and what the CIA has said on Mr. Panetta's behalf in response, is it nuance and shading, or is this yes or no? In other words, do either versions of this confirm what Pelosi said, or is it dependent on whether the representatives are right or the CIA statement is right?
I think they're in direct conflict. Although Panetta says or indicates through people that he has no way of knowing what happened, he just knows that it's true. They were not informed of certain things. The big distinction here, though, is that officials say it's not over waterboarding. They are backing the fact that Pelosi and others were extensively briefed on waterboarding, and that there is, in fact, there are records to that effect. They're saying that this issue is separate from waterboarding, separate from interrogations. I can't tell you tonight what it is. It's covert. I haven't yet uncovered that.
Last question, then. What happens next pertaining to this? Is this solely about that vote and the threat of the veto, or is there potentially more here? Are there hearings? Is there more open testimony? Is this going to carry on its own accord, or does this go away relative to this just some political posturing in front of a vote?
Well, it's a lot of posturing, but it does determine, it will eventually determine, I think, and influence whether or not more people will be briefed. Will Congress get what the House leadership is demanding right now, which is more briefings, not just 4 or 8 or top leaders. And we should point out that even though only certain members were briefed, there were other documents, such as the document before the Iraq War, which was put up there. Any member of the Senate could have read it, for instance, and only a very few, only 6 members of the Senate read that Iraq intelligence briefing. So Congress has, according to many critics, fallen down on its side of the bargain, but it's very clear that in the past the CIA was not very forthcoming when clearly it should have been more forthcoming. Yeah. The difference here is, did they lie? Did they mislead? The CIA, Leon Panetta, are not acknowledging that, in fact saying it did not happen.
Extraordinary. Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell in our Washington Bureau, who has added so much to this story in the last half hour. Great work. Great thanks.
Thank you.